More than 8 years in the making, Cyberpunk 2077 is an upcoming first-person open-world RPG based on the dystopian tabletop game Cyberpunk 2020. It also has robotic genitalia. If it wasn't obvious already, Cyberpunk 2077's neo-noir themes date back over 20 years and are both inspired and share roots with iconic films like Blade Runner, Total Recall, and Netflix's not-so-recent series, Altered Carbon. With recent reviewers clocking in their main story playthroughs at about 37 hours with minimal side missions, it's important to note that besides all the bugs, reviews have been generally positive about this game. If you haven't already, be sure to turn on those alarms in your phones because the game is going to be set as a global release, and depending where you are, you may be even able to play the game before the official release date on December 10th. For example, if you live in California, you'll be able to play it on December 9th. You'll also want to make sure that you have at least 50 gigabytes of extra storage space available because that's rumored to be the file size of the day one patch update. And hopefully, it helps in resolving all these bugs that have plagued early reviews of the game. I don't know, here's hoping that bugs that do remain don't take away too much from the experience, and we can at least breathe a sigh of relief collectively that at least there isn't any more delays in the release of the game. If you're still looking for a pre-order copy yourself, I recently just got mine from Best Buy. They're offering a pretty good sale that includes $10 in Best Buy credit, a Steelbook Series case, and 14 days of HBO Max while supplies last. The game doesn't look too hard to get, but for anyone who wants to play immediately on release day, that's one of the better deals that I was able to find for CDPR's new title. I did originally order it from Target, but it wouldn't get here until Saturday, so I decided to cancel that order and go with Best Buy instead. Now, there is always the option to get it digitally as well, and that may be better if you want to play it on December 9th, like I mentioned in regards to the time, but for me, I found this to be the better option. And I also just kind of like having a physical copy. Cyberpunk 2077 is shaping to be one of the most ambitious and immersive open-world experiences for an RPG game to date. And with over 20 years of lore, I'm excited to see just how lost any of us can get in these side quests. I think my playtime with Witcher was just under 80 hours, so I'm really hoping that I can get at least that much, if not more, in my first playthrough. If you're brand new to Cyberpunk 2077 just like me, and want to jumpstart to some of the lore and aspects and terminology of the game and just the world in general, I highly recommend the Neon Arcade's video, The Complete Cyberpunk 2077 History and Lore. They do a solid job at explaining Cyberpunk's mythos and getting new players up to speed about Night City's history, lore, and characters. I'm personally coming into Cyberpunk 2077 having never played the tabletop game or having read any of the books or novels in relation to the series, so I found this video to be a great source in condensing all that information in a really easily digestible format. From the Neon Arcade's video, I learned that there are 3 core concepts that define life in Cyberpunk, and that's style over substance, attitude is everything, and live life on the edge. These concepts seem to permeate almost every aspect of gameplay footage that we've seen. Whether it's in the art style, combat, or overall tone, CDPR seems to have been able to capture lightning in a bottle for the second time. Their collaborative efforts with Mike Pondsmith, the original creator of the Cyberpunk world, has resulted in one of the most hyped games to date, managing to stay true to its source material and fans, even going so far as to including cool as a character stat alongside body, intelligence, reflexes, and technical. With the aforementioned stats, players will be able to fully flesh out a playstyle and character all their own and walk through Night City with a truly unique experience and character. Whether that be a stealthy netrunner, hacking into cameras, robots, and other implants, a techie focused on machinery, gear upgrades, and technical modifications, or my own personal choice, the Solo, which is a combat-focused class that revolves around swords, guns, and even fists. And on an even deeper level, Cyberpunk 2077 is offering players the option to choose their sexual identity and pronouns based on the character's voice, as opposed to their genitalia, which, again, yes, can be robotic. I really like the direction that Cyberpunk 2077 is taking with their character creation, not just because they're offering over 6 types of tattoo options, but because their character creation is much more representative of the world today. I think that's a big win for the LGBTQ+ community. So kudos to you, CDPR. The world that CDPR designed for Cyberpunk 2077 may be smaller than the one in Witcher 3, but that doesn't necessarily translate into a smaller game. With 3 different life paths as either a nomad, corporal, or street kid, Your origin point will directly influence available dialogue options you have with NPCs, quests, and much more as you play through Night City. Night City itself will actually be split up into 6 distinctive regions: the corporate city center, immigrant inhabited Watson, luxurious Westbrook, suburban Haywood, gang-infested Pacifica, and the industrial Santo Domingo area. Its surrounding area, the Badlands, can also be explored and will be the starting area for players who choose nomads as their starting life path. Throughout Night City, players will also find themselves face to face with different gangs, and how you choose to interact with these members will greatly shape each playthrough. It's also important to mention that your selected life path will determine which dialogue options you'll see when communicating with these specific gang members and other NPCs. For example, a street kid with much more cognizance about the inner workings of Night City and its gangs and how to interact with those members will have much more different dialogue options than a nomad who's never been to Night City before. Experience will be obtained from main quests and fuel the stat sheets, while side quests yield allegedly street cred, unlocking skills, vendors, and places, and additional quests. These side quests and branching dialogue options will inevitably play a role in determining which ending players will receive, and with a game as morally ambiguous as Cyberpunk 2077, I'm really curious to see if in my own playthrough, I'll be able to achieve a quote-unquote good ending. That's pretty much what I want to share about my findings for Cyberpunk 2077. Let me know in the comments what life path and playstyle you're most excited to try in your first playthrough. Personally, I'm really excited to try out a corporal solo kind of character. I feel like that fits the narrative and playstyle I've been looking forward to. Feel free to also let me know what you're excited about in regards to minigames. For all things gaming related, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to find your way back for future news, guides, and playthroughs. With Cyberpunk 2077 just around the corner, I can't wait to test out the character creation, and honestly, I'm a bit curious to see what all the hoopla is surrounding the robotic genitalia. Until next time, thanks for stopping by. Catch you all in the next one.